What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Frontline Film Podcast, episode number 19. We are both coming at you today from different places. We both are home for the weekend for Mother's Day. Had to come see the old moms, the Frontline moms. So yeah, that's why we're looking a little bit different today. Landon, how was your trip? You last time we talked, you were about to go to Washington.
Yeah, no, the trip was sick. Really enjoyed it, and I hate that I wasn't able to see movies on time, but we did watch National Treasure in Washington D.C. Hit like crack, not gonna lie.
You know, yeah. Did you see Nicolas Cage?
Well, I saw the back of him. He was walking out in the National Archives. It looked like he bought like some, I don't know, it looked like a Declaration of Independence, like kind of
Mm,
souvenir. Thought that was
mm.
cool.
Good for him. I
Yeah.
hope he's enjoying that. Well, yeah. So, um, gotta don't have a movie review for today's episode. We've been all over the place, busy the last couple weeks, but we're still going to talk about the shows we've been watching. Andor was literally a movie this week, anyways. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on that, and then we got some trailers and news as well. Um, so yeah, let's just jump right into it. So like I said, we got a bunch of trailers this week for just all kinds of different movies and things. The first one we got was for the new body horror movie starring Dave Franco and Allison Brie called Together. Um, Looks very weird. Looks like a very, very weird. I bet it's going to be like very, very gross and like mind bending. Um, I think they're actually, I don't know if they're married, but they're together. And they like collabed on this project. I don't know if they like co-wrote it or something, but they like had a heavy hand in the creation of it as well. And yeah, dude, some of the stuff in the trailer is pretty gnarly. You see their like eyes get stuck to each other and their lips and stuff. I don't really understand what it's going to be about, but it looks pretty gnarly.
Yeah, no, watching it made me very uncomfortable. And I don't know what that, like, yeah, the eye scene was very odd. And then, of course, they were like going to kiss each other and then they were trying to pull away and their lips got stuck together. It's just very odd. But movies like that end up being really very, like, yes, weird, but very entertaining. And you really like usually how the director is like portraying what it's supposed to mean. I always get invested in movies like this, like when you saw Barbarian or when we saw Midsummer, they're very different, and they've kind of focused on that creepiness a little bit more than like actual like jump scare horror, which I think you and I enjoy because we'll talk about another movie or different movies in the past of a trailer we're going to talk about where that relies on jump scares and stuff like that, but nah, dude, this one looks cool. And they can't fake chemistry because they're probably already have chemistry. So
Yep.
yeah, no, that'll be sick.
No, that'll be cool. I'm kind of like sort of getting similar vibes from like Krasinski and Emily Blunt, doing the Quiet Place movie. Um, since they're both married or whatever. So, yeah, dude, looks really cool. I actually just looked because I thought I had seen this, but I wasn't sure. So this premiered at some festival, and it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with almost 50 reviews, um, which is huge, especially for a horror movie. Horror movies like usually do not have those numbers at all, other than like something like Sinners. But yeah, so apparently it's pretty good. People are saying it's one of the wildest films of the year and psychological and things like that. So yeah, looks like a fun time. That's the second movie we're getting Dave Franco in this year. I feel like we hadn't seen him in literally, when was the last time we saw him? Like 21, 22 Jump Street. It's been so long. The Neighbors movies, maybe. But yeah, so that is Together. Looks like a fun time. I can't remember when it comes out, but we will definitely be tuning in. So, um, another horror trailer that we got this week. We got the first full trailer for the final Conjuring movie, The Conjuring Last Rites, I believe it is called. And that this will be the fourth Conjuring movie. Obviously, there's a lot of other movies in the franchise, but the fourth Conjuring movie. obviously the first one for a while, I think for both me and you was like the scariest movie we'd ever seen because that came out when we were like in middle school. Um, that first one is like gnarly. The second one definitely took a step back. But then I remember seeing the third one with you, and it was like more of like a murder mystery. It was very unique and different. I forgot what it was called, but I do remember actually really liking the third one. It was they were just trying to like solve a murder essentially. Um, it was very different than like how the first two were. But this one looks like it's right back into it. Apparently, this is like Ed and Lorraine Warren's last like
This is why
case
they quit.
that they ever worked.
Yeah.
Um, so if that's the last case they worked, then something must have went down. But yeah, typical Conjuring stuff. You got some creepy music, some creepy kids and demons and creatures and dolls. So I'm curious to see kind of how they wrap up this franchise. Obviously, like Ed and Lorraine Warren were real people, and these case files are supposedly real. So um, yeah, dude, I'm excited. I feel like we haven't gotten like a good pure just horror movie. Everything we're getting is like, you know, horror comedy or I don't know, more thriller than anything. But there's some things in the trailer that like jumped out at me, and obviously like they're both great as Ed and Lorraine Warren. So yeah, could be good. Could be good. It comes out in September.
Yeah, no, with you, I remember the third one being different. It was not my favorite movie, um, and it was more of like a mystery trying to figure out or trying to get the real story of what was going on, of who was killing who. And it ended up being, I just remember the one scene in the house where he like crawls around the corner and it's like black and you just like see him like slowly crawl around the corner. The first one I think is still like very memorable. Probably one of my favorite horror movies of the last, of the 2010s. And I thought it was really different at the time. Very, very like straightforward, demonic horror at the time. So, a lot of people, kind of thought of it as like The Exorcist or, movies like that. So, I don't really like. I'm not. This doesn't move the needle for me either way. Like, am I gonna go see it? Probably because I've seen all the other ones. But this wasn't a movie like that when it got announced and when we see the first trailer, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see that. I thought the first one was great. The second one was maybe not as good as the first one. And then of course they go Annabelle Creation, The Nun, like all those movies. And I think we've slowly kind of like lost this what made the first film so good. And I do like the idea of this is why they quit. This is why they quit doing what they're doing, and we'll probably see a lot of callbacks to the previous movies. But like I said, this isn't a movie that I'm necessarily like super excited for, but you definitely know what you're going to get going into this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's not something that is in our most anticipated or anything, and it's not anything I'm just like itching to go see. But it's cool to see that they're apparently going to wrap up this franchise that has a couple heaters, like especially that first Conjuring, and then I think it's Annabelle Creation is like genuinely still one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. The first Nun was all right. So yeah, there's some cool stuff. It's definitely interesting to kind of see like a horror franchise unfold the way this has. But um, yeah, I'm not even like that big into demonic horror movies really. I like more like monster, psychological, like body horror type stuff. But these movies have always like kind of intrigued me, and they're probably some of the most talked about horror movies. So um, kind of cool to see. I guess that they're coming to an end. I guess we'll see how they wrap it up. But so that is The Conjuring: Last Rites. Um, and now we got some trailers for some TV shows as well. The first one I wanted to talk to you about is this one I'm sure you were definitely very excited for. Is the new trailer for Stick, the new Owen Wilson golf show on Apple TV. So Owen Wilson golf, Apple TV. What do you need? What more do you need?
Yeah, we are huge Owen Wilson fans. We love him. Apple TV, obviously, cooking. When we talk about the studio later, Severance, of course, and then everything that's come out in recent years from Shrinking to Silo, Presumed Innocence, all that. They have been killing it. This one looks like it is going to have everything you need. Maybe, like I haven't seen it, but everything I know about Ted Lasso being funny, sports related, but also heartwarming and can be sad at sometimes too, just giving you all emotions. I think this one's going to hit that as well. I love the idea of a guy that, you know, has been there, has been in the professional league, and he's taking a step back, doing golf lessons, but he really finds this kid, and at first he sees it as an opportunity for like self worth and confirmation of like he is important, but at the end it being like I've made friends along the way. This is a person that I really care about, and I see like him as a son or a best friend. He says that in the trailer. I think I'm going to be all in on this one. I'm going to eat it up. Owen Wilson, we have seen him be really good in roles before. We know he is comedic, but we've seen him in serious roles or more like different tones. I think that this movie or show, I'm sorry, especially with Apple TV, this is like people are going to relate to this. I feel like too. Golf is something that that I play all the time. I'm on golf or I play golf probably once or twice a week if I can. And this is a show that I'm just going to eat up, man. I love Owen Wilson. It's a comedy, but at the same time, you're going to get heartwarming stuff. You're going to get sad stuff, and I cannot wait. This is probably like this, this being original. This is not from like like a Marvel or Star Wars or Harry Potter or something like that. Like it's original. I think this one is going to be awesome. I really do.
Yeah, no, dude, I do too. As we know, like Apple TV just kills it on all of their shows, and this was one that like came out of left field. I'd not heard anything about it, and then they just dropped a trailer, and it looks sick. Comes out in June, so literally just less than a month away it premieres. Um, so right after like the studio's done on Apple TV, we're gonna get this,
Yeah.
which is sick. And yeah, like you said, Owen Wilson, obviously very funny in a lot of things, but I definitely like can think of some movies where he has definitely been more serious. Um,
And then we get the Loki show
yeah, I was
too.
about to say
Man,
literally
Loki.
even
Yeah.
even in Loki, he's very serious and different than a lot of other characters he's always played, but still likable. He is one of those like just recognizable faces and voices in Hollywood. Um, but we love them. So yeah, another Apple TV sports show, especially. We saw how well they did with Ted Lasso. I don't really care about soccer, and that show like is I love that show. I'm not the hugest golf guy, other than like major tournaments and the Masters, but like this still looks like it's going to be incredible. He's kind of washed up, and he's wanting to get back in the game, and he finds like a young prodigy. Just sign me up. Sounds like you're kind of a stereotypical sports story, but with golf and Owen Wilson. It's kind of similar to how the F1 movie is going to be. It's like
Yeah.
he's old and washed up and trying to make a comeback. So yeah, that is Stick on Apple TV. We will definitely be talking about that each week. I know that's one we're both very excited for. Um, and then another trailer that we got for a TV show that we're both very excited for. We finally got the trailer for season 2 of Peacemaker. Um, season one came out. Season one came out when we were still living together, um, senior year of college, back in
Hmm.
like spring of 22. I think it
Hmm.
premiered in January of 22. So it's been over 3 years. Obviously, a lot has changed with the DCU since then. Um, but James Gunn has said that like Peacemaker is, he did Peacemaker obviously season one before everything like got officially changed. But he said Peacemaker is still in the universe, and he's bringing him over to the DCU, which is sick. Yeah, so it seems like this is going to be brought over into his new DCU. We get the old crew back together. I don't remember all their names, but they were all great. And then you get some cameos. It looks like from some characters that are going to be in Superman. Oh, we got Guy Gardner, who's going to be playing Green Lantern. And or he is Green Lantern. What's Nathan Fillion? That's his name. And then we got Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl, who we know is also going to be in the new Superman movie. So already cool to see that it is going to have some tie-ins. Probably nothing major, but like it had a couple little cameos for like the past Justice League movies, and had Aquaman in it and Flash and a couple others. But yeah, dude, looks like another wild show. The first season I know we both loved. It's just way out there and different than really any other like superhero show. It's probably most similar to The Boys, just in how like violent and messed up it is. But definitely like a change of pace from most other like DC and Marvel stuff we get. And Cena is just like
Yeah.
one of the best comedy actors right now.
Yeah, no, we talked about, Cena and Batista like before how good they are as, WWE guys. And I think John Cena really was a surprise when the Suicide Squad came out and Peacemaker was one of the best characters in that movie. He was really, really good. I am very excited for this show. I think that Peacemaker is a perfect character to do a TV show for. He doesn't need his own movie, and we talked about this with like Marvel earlier today. But yeah, no, Peacemaker doesn't need his own movie, but a TV show is going to capture like every part of his character perfectly. He is funny. John Cena was hilarious in season one and in the movie. He also has moments where he shows emotion and he's struggling with who he is or his identity and the fact that he wants to make friends, and that was a big part of season one as well. I am very excited. I love John Cena not only as an actor, as a person. He is just the most like kind-hearted, wholesome person ever. He is one of my favorite WWE wrestlers of all time. So when he succeeds, I just get happy. And Peacemaker is such an interesting character, I feel like, but the show is not serious. It's not as serious as you maybe would like think it could be. It's funny, it's wholesome. There's some sad moments, but for the most part, like you're gonna get a lot of laughs. And like you said, it's gruesome at times, and I don't know. It's just like the perfect TV show movie,
Yeah.
or TV show character. I think that season two is gonna be just as good as season one. We're gonna get the same quality, man. James Gunn is gonna have his hand in all these projects, and he, I, you know, whether you like him as a person or not, it's just when he puts his hand or he's like on stuff, I think he does a good job. I really do. And we saw it in the Guardians trilogy, the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker season one, the old Scooby Doo movies. You can even go down the list there, and they're good. They really are.
Yeah, yeah, no. Obviously, we love his Suicide Squad movie, and Cena was definitely a highlight there. So, um, I'm kind of curious since Suicide Squad was also his movie, if he brings like any of those characters over. Like, are we
Yeah.
ever going to see Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn again? What about Idris Elba? What was his name? Bloodsport.
Yep.
Um, I'm still kind of curious as how much he is going to pull over from the past one since he took over. But yeah, dude, I mean James Gunn is at the helm of this. He has never given us anything we didn't like you said, even all the way back to the Scooby Doo movies, which are just crazy. Um, yeah, dude, like you said, the first season obviously is very funny, but he does have like genuine good emotional scenes in it as well. Like I remember a lot of the stuff with his dad, that was a big thing in season one, and like you said, just trying to get people to like him and accept him, which is something we all can relate to. So um, definitely not a hero I would ever expect to get a show or a movie or anything like that, but it's just what works, and that's like what Marvel needs to do as well. They need to find smaller heroes that not a lot of people know anything about, and just make a show for them instead of trying to put them in all these movies, little places here and there. Just take a book out of James Gunn's, take a page out of James Gunn's book and try this out. But yeah, Peacemaker season two looks great. I'm excited to see what um, how they're going to change the intro. Remember the wild like
Oh
dance
yeah.
intro?
You want to change it, really? Yeah, no, it's in my head. It's so
James
cool.
Gunn James Gunn said that they did a new one, a completely new
Oh,
one.
I hope so.
Um, so
And they all have the straight face, and
yeah,
it's
he's
just
just
yeah,
the whole time. So that premieres August 21st on Max. So we got a little bit,
yeah. We'll
but
get Superman before that.
yeah, no, yeah. So we'll already see these characters that are cameoing, and just kind of see how much of a role they really play. But uh, Very, very excited. Love a good, comic book show, especially James Gunn, John Cena. Like, very, very stoked for that. So that is season two of Peacemaker. And yeah, that's really all the trailers we want to talk about. There were a couple other little trailers that dropped this week as well, but those are just the main ones we wanted to cover. And then I had one little piece of news that I wanted to cover as well. Um, this doesn't really apply to Landon because he is lame and has not seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm gonna try to get him to one day. I don't know if I ever will, but maybe one day. But big Lord of the Rings news for the first time in a while, and I'm pulling up my tweet just to make sure I'm getting all this info right. Okay, so the Lord of the Rings announced that their next movie will be called The Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. It's coming out in December of 27. So quite a ways away. But with a movie like Lord of the Rings, like that's a movie you want to take your time with and make sure it looks good. Andy Serkis is returning as Gollum, the iconic character. Really the one I guess that kind of like launched his career in what's it called? What do they call it? Like you know what I'm
I
talking about.
yeah. You talking about the
Being
dots on the face where
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Motion capture. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. He was like one of the first guys that really ever do that with his character, and it launched his career. So very cool to see him coming back, and he's also going to be directing, which is an interesting choice. But he obviously like knows the Lord of the Rings movies. He was in. I don't think he's really in the first one much, but he's very much in the second one and the third. Um, And yeah, 2027 is ways away, but that's relieving to know that they're going to kind of take their time there. And I'm curious to see like when exactly this is set. If it's set after Lord of the Rings movies or sometime in the middle or before, who knows? But maybe by 2027 in December, you will have watched the Lord of the Rings movies.
Who knows, man?
Maybe one of
Who
these
knows?
days. Yeah. So I just wanted to share
I will
that.
say this, to piggyback. I know that they're based off books, so that it's a little bit different. But I am surprised that um, Lord of the Rings hasn't done more like universe shows and movies. I understand that it's based off books. Same thing with Harry Potter, but I just feel like there's. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. But like I feel like there's a lot of the world and the lore that you could do with that. So I just I guess they want to be like I would imagine that this is not based off a book. That movie that you just, The Hunt for Gollum, if it's based off a book or not. But I am shocked that like Lord of the Rings as a whole, The Hobbit as a whole, um, just hasn't really like explored that part. But maybe it's a good thing because everything that they do apparently is high quality. So that's probably
Yeah.
why.
So what I've heard in the past is that the Tolkien like estate, J.R.R. Tolkien, the author of the books, they're like very they like hold it close to their chest. A lot of people have come to them over the years wanting to do spin-offs and things like that, and they always say no, which I respect, which is
Yeah,
cool.
no, 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 for sure.
But we did get a couple years ago. We got season one of The Rings of Power, which I loved. I actually have not watched season two yet. It came out last year, just haven't gotten around to it. But season one was great. I don't love the Hobbit movies, but the original trilogy is the greatest trilogy of all time. So
The didn't they do an animated movie like the
they did
War?
they did like an anime movie that came out last year. I don't really
Apparently,
know
it's
how
really
that.
good. And
Yeah,
then the video game that was based off of it was apparently amazing. So
I didn't know. I didn't even know that, but.
yeah, I don't
Um,
know the name.
Yeah, so maybe if this is super successful, uh, maybe we'll start getting some more like spin-offs and things like that. Because this is obviously the Hunt for Gollum is not a story that Tolkien wrote. Like this is something they're coming up with, and so the fact that they got the blessing from the Tolkien family and Peter Jackson, who directed the first trilogy, means it must be good. So very promising. I'm excited for that. And like I said, maybe in 2.5 years you'll have watched those movies. I will be 28 when that comes out.
You
It's
gotta
ridiculous.
stop bringing up how old we're gonna be in these
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, dude, it's okay. We're still gonna be there regardless. So yeah, that's really all the trailers and news we wanted to cover, and then now we're obviously gonna jump into the shows we've been watching. We're recording this Sunday night. So we still haven't gotten to The Last of Us yet.
While traveling.
Yeah, we've both been
Really good.
traveling a whole lot. So we'll get to it. You haven't even watched like the last two episodes, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Some really solid stuff, and then some just like very cringy stuff, as I'm sure a lot of people have seen on Twitter. Um, some really cool zombie stuff. There's a cool cameo in the last episode at the very beginning, and then Jeffrey Wright is reintroduced as Isaac, who's in the games. He voices Isaac in the game, so it's cool to see that they brought him back. He has a really cool monologue in the most recent episode uh, before tonight's episode. So yeah, get caught up. It's not anything just spectacular, but there is certainly some cool stuff, and I really am starting to like Isabella Merced's interpretation of Dina. She's definitely the best part of the show in my opinion so far. So yeah, just we'll probably be back on that next week. I'm still
Yep.
going to be traveling for like the next 2 weeks, but we'll get back on it and make sure like we have it all watched at least by the time the finale comes out. Um, but one show we still have been watching every week, The Studio on Apple TV. We got was this episode 8 or 9? I think it was episode 8.
8.
Um, this was the Golden Globes episode. Um, Another just wild, hilarious, cameo filled episode. Definitely, this is the most cameos we've gotten um, from any episode. Literally all the episodes put together, and then some. Just from the top of my head, what? So you get Adam Scott,
Charlie
Zoe,
D'Amelio.
huh?
Said Charlie D'Amelio.
Charlie D'Amelio, Adam
Uh,
Scott,
yeah, Zoe
Zoe
Kravitz.
Kravitz, Anthony Starr,
Hmm.
Aaron Moriarty from The Boys, which is cool that they got brought over for that because Seth Rogen like helped produce The Boys. Zack Snyder, Rami Youssef, uh, Quinta Brunson. Who else, dude? There's the literal like CEO of Netflix.
Yep.
I forgot his
Yep.
name. Ted Sarandos or
Yeah, something
something.
like that.
Just a wild like cameo list. It was great. It was really cool. Adam Scott kind of had more. Him and Zoe Kravitz kind of had more of a prominent like
Yeah.
appearance in the episode. But dude, I love this. Obviously, like we love the award shows and stuff, so it was kind of cool to see it. Even though it's it's probably not really like that, but kind of seeing it behind the scenes of what it looked like when the cameras were off and Seth Rogen's character just freaking out. So yeah, basically the whole premise of this episode was Zoe Kravitz was going to win an award for a movie that Matt had greenlit. He didn't really have any participation in the making of the movie, but he like gave it the go ahead. Um, and everyone basically knew Zoe Kravitz was going to win, and he was freaking out because he just wanted to make sure that she thanked him on stage because it's a huge deal. Like when your name gets mentioned on stage, you get thanked. It's just a big deal in the industry, which probably is kind of true. A lot of people want to be recognized for their hard work and stuff, but really all he did was greenlight the movie, and he was just obsessing over getting thanked in her thankful in her speech where she accepts her award. So yeah, dude, what did you think? I thought this episode was freaking hilarious.
See,
The whole bit with Sal Stapperstein was
yeah,
so
yeah.
funny.
I actually thought so. I don't think I didn't like the episode because I actually really did like the episode. I think this one was kind of less funny than others, but yes, the Sal Saperstein thing was hilarious. And everybody like thanking him, and Avery actually watched the episode with me. This was the first episode he ever watched, which I thought was a good episode to watch. But yeah, no, I really do think like Matt in this episode, I kind of complained about the oncologist episode that he came off as whiny and like, and I didn't really love that episode. But this one, I really like. I understand kind of where he's coming from. Like, this is a dude that like believed in Zoe Kravitz's vision of a movie and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna greenlight it. Like, I believe in you. I'm gonna give you the funding. I'm gonna sign you. I'm gonna do all this." And give you the budget and everything. So yeah, like when he wanted to receive recognition and he's calling his mom, before, and he's like, yeah, no, like she's gonna thank me, like just have it on, and she's gonna thank me. She should win. And he's even being encouraging the whole time, like you got this, you're gonna win. and we find out that Zoe Kravitz was like being fake humble, kind of. So Zoe Kravitz was kind of an asshole in this episode, and it really wasn't Matt. And then at the end, he's walking towards everybody, and Zoe had mouthed his name at the end when she got cut off. And Matt's kind of walking through everybody, and you can tell, like, his mom calls him, and she's like, they didn't thank you. They didn't thank you. And, he was trying to, like, play it off, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, so, kind of just forgot. And he really, he gets in the limo, and you kind of feel for Matt, honestly. Like, I feel like that part, it's been a lot of funny endings, but I feel like this one, you're like, dang, man, like, she tried to thank him, and he saw her mouth his name, but nobody else will. Like,
Yeah,
and Zoe's trying to save face and be like, I tried to thank you, like I really appreciate it for greenlighting this movie and believing in me. But like Matt wanted people to know that, because the Netflix CEO or whatever got thanked in every time
everything.
Netflix
He's
was
like, oh, it's
recorded.
contractual.
Yeah. So I did feel for Matt in this episode. I thought that Seth Rogen was actually one of his strongest in this episode overall, because he had his funny moments, of course, and he freaking out. At the same time, like you could tell his character was just like defeated,
Yeah.
and I love that. And I thought it was a great episode. I think this is one of my favorites, despite the cameos and everything. Like they were great, and I love the setting of the Golden Globes. Very cool.
Looks really
Like,
cool.
because on TV it doesn't feel intimate, and in that setting it felt intimate. Like felt like a small room. Like the elites of the elite are in that getting awards, and of course you have the funny moments. But yeah, no, I thought Seth Rogen was the strongest in this episode, and I thought that this was one of the best.
Yeah. No, I didn't even mention it, but you did. Yeah, the ending to this episode was like, dude, it was kind of sad. He gets
Yeah,
back in the limo all alone, and he's just defeated. I thought it was a cool moment. I do think it was a little genuine, but she, like you said, she still wasn't being the nicest. But she did come up to him after and be like, look, regardless of what happened, she said, I really do appreciate it.
yeah,
She's probably just kissing ass a little bit, but I thought that was a cool moment. And he was very nice and respectful to her and everything. Yeah, no, dude, he definitely did. Like you kind of felt for him, and I mean, there's a lot of. I think that's what the show's been trying to say. Like the whole time, he's just been trying to prove his worth and prove that he can do it. And um, yeah, I mean, every episode is just something different. But whether it's him arguing with doctors about whether what he does is important, or trying to get recognized at the Golden Globes, or trying to make sure the directors and the cast like him, he's just trying to do the right thing because he loves movies so much. Um, but it's lonely at the top. So um, yeah, really solid episode, like you said. It was cool to see the Golden Globes, how intimate it was. I'm curious, is like if it's really that small. I know the
yeah,
Golden Globes is
yeah,
like smaller than like
yeah,
Oscars and stuff, but
yeah.
um,
Even Avery made the comment. He was like, "Is that a small venue for the Golden Globes?" And I was like, "Yeah, kinda. I mean, maybe I don't know because they don't show the whole venue, of course." And I make it, or I thought it was very funny. Like when they're walking in, and they're like, "Who the hell are all these people on the red carpet?" And they're like, "Oh, they're just
well,
TikTokers,"
they're influencers.
and they're leaving. And I was like, "That's pretty funny." Um, they're like, "Yeah, we're not letting these people in. They can't come in." But no, it's this show has really just like it has tackled really everything far and in between of like in the movie like business and stuff me and you don't even know about what goes on. And I think Seth Rogen has been just fantastic, honestly. We know he can be funny. He is known as a funny guy in Hollywood, and man, he is just like doing it all in this show. I am so impressed with Seth Rogen.
Yeah, dude. No, he's definitely like coming into his own for sure. Um, yeah, no. Shout out Seth Rogen. We're still loving the studio. We got 2 episodes left, and also I didn't even include it in the outline, but it was announced this week that season 2 has officially been greenlit. So love that, love that. I'm hoping this can be a show. Maybe
Well, the one, yeah,
I'm hoping this can be a show maybe like The Bear, where we can get a season every year.
yeah.
around the spring or the summertime. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I'm loving the studio. I thought this was a great episode. Um, but now is the moment we've all been waiting for. Um, we're gonna talk episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Andor season 2. Um, Probably the three best episodes of the whole show, and probably the best like 2.5, 3 hours. Some of the best like 3 hours of Star Wars content we've ever gotten ever. Like unreal. I'll let you kind of take the reins. You're the Star Wars guy, but just at least, I mean, episode 7 kind of set up a little bit, but 8 and 9 were just, oh my god, like so good.
Yeah, episode 7 was I could you but see I think I liked it so much because I knew what was about to happen. You knew what's about to go on, and it kind of dude. I felt like episode 7 was like the shortest episode, in my opinion. That felt the shortest. Like I didn't even realize it was over. It felt like 20 minutes. Episode 8 is just where do I even begin? I mean, you know that I love Star Wars. It is my favorite franchise, even though that it can be, laughed at sometimes or mocked. But by far, like lore wise and characters wise, the ones that I fall in love with usually are in Star Wars. I love Marvel, love Harry Potter, love Fast and Furious, love, you know, everything. But Star Wars is like what got me into movies. Episode 8 of Andor is a masterclass of
Yep.
what you can do with Star Wars. Everything about this episode, if I like could rate it, it would be a 10 out of 10. There was not a flaw in this episode, from the pacing to the setting of like inside the courtyard or center area, whatever they called it, and the character building and tearing down of characters. Diego Luna, you are a superstar. You are incredible. Cyril, the person who plays Cyril, is incredible in this episode. Um, this is just exactly what you want in a Star Wars show. It is just we, and it really stems down to like the rebellion is built on hope, and it is said that in that episode. And these are real people dealing with repercussions of a tyrannical government coming over and taking their freedom. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's real, man. It is real people that really believe that, you know, in their own freedom. And it is just like characters that aren't even that big in the whole sense of things, dude. They're like a pawn in the whole cog of the universe. But what they believe in, they're right. There are little shots in that episode of people singing the Gorman national anthem or chanting that firmly believe that this is the right thing to do. And to watch the massacre unfold after is almost like a punch in the gut, shock face or shock value. It is just perfectly told, man. I can't get over it. I could sit here and rant for an hour about this episode alone because I loved it so much. And from watching people sacrifice themselves to save other people they love, or watching the stormtroopers like mercilessly like kill people who are not armed, and watching citizens that didn't even bring a gun to this protest like die, is heartbreaking. And you realize like this is how the rebellion started. And I told you when I first watched it, like when Cyril, the one of my favorite parts of this episode, when Cyril realizes like what's going on. And yes, he a piece of, you know what? Yes, he is not like a good person, but he believes things should be done a certain way, and rightfully so. Like he believes that. And when he walks out and he's just, attacks Andor and everything, and I'm really like beginning to feel for Cyril as a character. And Andor looks at him and just says, "Who are you?" Like my heart shattered because at the grand scheme of things, Palpatine, Vader, Luke, Leia, the people that are in the original trilogy that matter, they don't know any of these people's names. But what the rebellion does and stands for only happens because of people like this. And the scene of Andor driving away, with he's not even crying. It's just tears streaming down his face. It's chills, dude. It is so good. Episode 9, the whole Mon Mothma making the statement and doing the speech and realizing that at the end of the day, like, this is probably not going to do anything, but it has to be said in front of the Empire. And she calls out Palpatine, and the whole ensuing, like, basically rescue that Andor does is tense as hell. Come on, man. Like, Star Wars has definitely had some hiccups in recent years. Andor is not one of them. It is one of the highlights of Star Wars media ever made. I mean, Rogue One we knew is a masterpiece, and now that we know what we can get with Andor, Star Wars, you better realize what you have,
Take notes.
because these characters are unbelievably interesting. And dude, I could go on and on. It's just so good.
Yeah.
This
No,
will
dude.
probably be my favorite season of any show this year because of the way that it addresses things. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they end it with this last final arc this week. But yeah, you remember last week I said that I didn't really love the second arc, episodes 4, 5, and 6. These episodes made me appreciate those even more. It's almost like how Dune Part 2 did for Dune 1. Like, I appreciate Dune so much more after seeing Dune Part 2. Just unreal stuff. Like, Cassian, in that first episode, he's on Yavin with Bix, and he's just trying to be done. And Willman comes to him. He's like, "Look, this lady who's been hunting all of us down for years, she's an easy target. It'll be an easy mission." And he's wrestling with like, "Do I need to do it? Do I need to do it?" And then he goes, and yeah, he finally gets there in episode 2, and yeah, the whole dude, it was so tense. You knew that it was about to just explode, but you didn't know when or how. It was so tense, and so many different things started happening where they all went into the middle, and then all the stormtroopers came out, and then they started singing the song, and then blah 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 blah. All this stuff started happening, and you're like, oh my god, when's it gonna hit? When's it gonna hit? And then it just, that first gunshot goes off, and it was actually um, somebody on the Empire
Yeah, that
shooting
is.
another person on the Empire instead of just killing a civilian, just to start mass chaos. And yeah, like you said, when I think Cyril was a highlight of that episode when he realizes that he's been played this whole time. Like I told you in the car the other day, like he very much supports the Empire, which is not good, but he genuinely believes that he is doing the right thing and he's helping out the Empire, and he's enjoying it, and he's like prideful in the fact that they're trusting him to do this, and then he learns that he's just been played this whole time, even by his wife. Um, Dedra was really good this episode. You could tell she was obviously like kind of conflicted as well, but then she just completely goes off the deep end when she says proceed proceed as planned. Um, and yeah, dude, and then the final episode, the extraction of Mon Mothma was so cool. Um, Also, like you said, very very tense. Um, yeah, dude, just two unreal episodes of television. Um, even episode 7, the one before it, like it was just good setup for both of those. What was going to happen? Um, Probably, I mean, it's right up there with that arc in season 1 where he's in the jail. Uh,
Hmm.
that's like, that's what stands out to me when I think of the season 1. This will be what stands out to me for season 2. The Gorman massacre was just insane. And then yeah, that moment that they shared where they're dog fighting, bro. They were going at it, him and Cyril, and he looks at him and he's just like, "Who are you?" Like he doesn't have any idea. And Cyril's just defeated because he has spent the last several years of his life hunting down Andor and like trying to get him, and he realizes Andor doesn't even know who he is. And then he gets popped, he dies, like you said, very very
Yeah, he was
emotional.
he was putting his gun down. Like, you were like, okay, like, Cyril is going to like Andor is going to find some way to maybe like reconcile with him or kind of explain what the deal is, but doesn't even get the chance, dude. Yeah, no, you know, I hate to cut you off because I've talked a lot,
You're good.
but I'm a Star Wars like nerd. Like this is just what I love. And after some disappointments in Star Wars media about you know the acolyte or some problems with Ahsoka or whatever. There's good parts and there's bad parts. This one just doesn't have a flaw. I don't think it really doesn't. And like you said, like this arc was a movie, and if it was a movie, it'd be a 10 out of 10, and I would not look back about it because this is one that this episodes 8 and 9 specifically are going to be what we remember about like the best episodes of this year. We're talking about Severance episode 7 or 10 or The Pit, the 2 episodes, or an episode of the studio, or Last of Us, or whatever. Andor's episodes 8 and 9 are going to stick out a lot, and thank God that they did it this way. Like you made us. I liked last week. I know I can definitely see why somebody wouldn't love last week as much, but because of those episodes, this was able to be set up.
Yeah,
And
no, no,
sometimes you gotta go through those episodes.
yeah, yeah, no, it definitely like I value those episodes in the setup more because I was like, dude, what are they doing on this stupid planet? Who cares? They're trying to get these minerals, whatever. And then, just seeing what unfolds just makes it all worth it. And then yeah, I don't know which of these two episodes I enjoyed more. They were both very different, but they were both like just elite. I thought the whole extraction of her like from the Senate was so cool. The build up, the tension of her like going and saying what it was she was going to say in front of the Empire and calling them out. It was very tense. Like the whole build up was crazy, and then Andor gets there and um, basically has to evade capture and get her out, which he does. And then, he something you didn't even bring up. He gets back to Yavin, and he goes to Bix. He's like, "I'm done. I'm all done. I did my last mission. I'm done. I just want to be here with you, or I want to leave with you and just never look back. I'm done with the rebellion." Because he has put in his time. He has done countless things, over the last several years for the rebellion, and he loves Bix and he wants a life with her, and you know, he just wants to settle down with her, which rightfully so. He's worked his tail off. He deserves that. And Bix is like, yeah, yeah, no, we can definitely do that. And then of course he wakes up, she's gone to a video message saying basically that she can't stay. The rebellion's too important. She chooses the rebellion, and she leaves basically because she knows how important he is to the rebellion. Um, and yeah, dude, she just dips out. And I thought the scene of him like running through the woods crying, like running after her, was just kind of hit me. I don't know why. Um, I think certain scenes in all of the episodes, like you said, the scene with like Cyril and the scene with him in the car in episode 8. Well, I think the scene of him like running through the woods after Bix, like while she's reading or while she's giving that monologue, is just, it hit me. I was like, damn, that's all he wanted, and now she's gone, and all he's got now is the rebellion. And then a very cool moment at the very end of that episode. They get K2SO, who he grabbed at the end of episode 8 after the Gorman massacre. Um, he was all broken and like chopped in half. He brings him back, and they've been working on him, and he wakes up. So we know that they were together in Rogue One when we meet them. So it's kind of cool to see like how that worked, where he got him from. Um, Curious to see like what role K2SO plays next week, because he was very cool droid in Rogue One. We really
Yep.
liked him. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, just two unreal episodes of TV. Like you said, these are going to be two of the episodes of TV that we talk about at the end of the year. It's like these two, and then the finale of Severance, the second episode of Last of Us, things like that. Um, yeah, just elite, and it makes me sad because um, Andor's like having the lowest streaming numbers of like any Star Wars project, which just pisses me off. But there's nothing we can do about that. But the real fans love and appreciate it, and recognize it for what it's worth. And dude, this show's so different than anything else in Star Wars. I feel like anybody who enjoys like political thrillers would enjoy this show. Like you don't even have to be a Star Wars fan. You don't really have to have too much prior knowledge. Like you can go into it. Just it's
Yeah,
like a sci-fi political thriller.
literally, you could watch this show and then be like, okay, well, what do I watch next? And be like, oh, I can watch Rogue One and then the original Star Wars. And you're like, oh, okay. Um, which is exactly what I'll be doing next week. When I finish Andor, Rogue One will be getting watched immediately, and then I might watch the original trilogy just because.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. We've spent I don't know how many minutes, but this is like, dude, this is top tier, man. So good, so good. Diego Luna, I think like we talk about people who steal the show, and I do think there's like good supporting characters in this, like Mon Mothma and Dedra and Cyril and Bix
Stellan Skarsgård
and
too.
Clea's very good, I think, as
Yep.
well. But like Diego Luna as Andor is just amazing. Is amazing, and I love Diego Luna, already, and I know you did too. So we already knew we were
Does
gonna
he
get.
play a big role in Narcos, or is he more of a
Yeah,
side
he's like
character?
the main bad guy in Narcos Mexico.
Okay.
Yep, yep, yeah, he is outstanding in that show as well. But yeah, no, outstanding, man. I mean, that's the only thing we can say is elite, perfect, outstanding, phenomenal.
Yeah.
You, yeah,
I don't know, dude. Yeah, like you said, I don't know how award season's gonna go because at least in TV we just got just unreal shows and performances this year. I obviously we love movies, like this is a movie podcast first and foremost, but I think the TV this year has been better, at least up until this point, overall than the movies have. So like, dude, I mean, we're gonna have Seth Rogen going up against Adam Scott and the whole cast of Severance, against Jeremy Allen White and all of The Bear, against Diego Luna and the whole cast of Andor. Like, all of
and we
these
don't know.
shows, all of these
Yeah,
shows
we
are
don't.
deserving.
I mean, Owen Wilson might get in there
Yeah,
with Stick, and like you just don't know. And for someone who is not as big on TV as I am on movies, just because it's more of a commitment almost. But yeah, and you didn't even mention The Last of Us, which we'll see in there probably. So, nah, dude, it has been an outstanding, uh, and even shows that we aren't talking about on the podcast every week. I mean, shows that we've been watching. It's just been very, very good. So yeah, no, TV has been very impressive. Movies are about to get in full force, so like there's been a lot to talk about for the next like 3 months. But Andor, man, is just I'm gonna be thinking about it all year for sure.
I'm very excited to see how they how they wrap it up and like how smoothly it rolls into um, Rogue One. Like you said, I will immediately be watching Rogue One after I'm going out of town Thursday, and I will probably 100% be watching that in the car.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see because Rogue One has that awesome, awesome ending that just it shows Leia and just rolls directly into the
yeah,
original trilogy. I'm curious to see if this one kind of has a moment similar to where it rolls directly into the events of Rogue One, or of him meeting Felicity Jones's character, or something cool like that, dude. I'm loving it. It's so good. We love Star Wars. Star Wars, please keep doing stuff like this. I don't care about the streaming numbers. The quality is just unreal. This is what you need to be doing.
yeah.
So, yeah, so that is Andor. Like I said, no movie this week. We've both been traveling a whole lot, and I'm still got an insane amount of traveling for the next couple of weeks. But um, we are still going to be cranking out episodes every week. It just might be hard for both of us to get to all the movies, but we're going to do the best we can.
We're
Uh,
gonna be in different spots like every
yeah,
week.
yeah. Next week we're gonna be at different spots, and then the next week I'll be moved to where I'm moving. Um, but yeah, so yeah, next week we, or at least you, will be talking Final Destination because I'll be out of town this weekend. I do not think I'll have time to go see that before we record. So Final Destination, and then week after that is biggest week of the year so far, at least for me personally.
Yep,
And I hope it is. I hope you're very, very excited too.
yep,
We got Mission
yep.
Stitch.
One more to
Mission,
watch.
Mission Stitch is like my most anticipated, movie weekend of the year, and it's also the weekend that I move across the country. So it's going to be very crazy. But I'm seeing Mission Impossible on the biggest screen in the country. Give everybody a little hint of where I'm going. Uh, absolutely cannot wait. I don't know if you saw literally before we started recording this, but Tom Cruise was just like
Yeah.
on top of a massive building.
Yep.
He was
It's
just like
going.
standing up there.
Yeah.
And people took videos, dude. The promotion for this movie is just crazy. He's going all over the world. I hope it's a smash hit. So yeah, that'll be in 2 weeks. Next week we'll obviously talk the end of Andor and then Final Destination. And yeah, dude. And then once I get moved and settled, I feel like we'll kind of be back more on a normal schedule. But yeah, so shorter episode, but really really good episode. We loved Andor. I could literally sit here and still talk about that for hours, but
Hmm.
we have to stop eventually. Um, so yeah, do your little outro. You're the pro, the professional.
Well, I want to just talk real quick because
Oh,
I saw it yesterday.
oh
Um,
yeah, my bad, my bad. I'm sorry.
yeah. So real quick. Usually we roll into what we've been watching, which I'm not gonna do my TV show that I've been watching until I finish it. So I started Paradise on Hulu. Watched the first 3 episodes on my plane flights. I do have a little bit of traveling and flying to do in the next couple of weeks. So that'll definitely be finished and be talked about like in the next couple of weeks. But I have started that. But yesterday, I finally, thank God, saw Thunderbolts, or I guess we can say on the podcast, the new Avengers. Um, yeah, like you said, I watched your review after um, I saw it, and I agree with you on a lot of things. I think the main thing that I think that this movie captures that Marvel really hasn't done, except for maybe Iron Man 2, I think is the other one, and maybe a little bit of Iron Man 3. But this one focuses more on kind of the sense of belonging and being loved or being accepted and being in a group. Um, Iron Man does it to an extent. Iron Man is trying to find his place in everything that transpires after the event of Avengers, and how, in Iron Man 2, it's about the toxicity level, and he's kind of struggling with that. In Iron Man 3, after the events of Avengers, he's like, dude, like, what is my place in this
All this,
world? Like,
yeah.
it's vast. This one is just a sense of belonging, I feel like. It struggles with, dark topics. Depression, loneliness is a good one as well. And I have to say, off the bat, Florence Pugh, you are just incredible. You are somebody that I have loved for the first time that I've seen you in a movie. From Little Women to Midsummer to We Live in Time to the first, being
Dude, she's never delivered a bad
no,
performance.
no, she really hasn't. And the first time being introduced in the MCU in Black Widow, she has been incredible. And let me tell you, the main character in this movie gives the best performance in this movie. She is incredible. This movie as a whole, doing more of the practical stunts, you can definitely tell they do a good job in this movie. And the story, I personally loved. I think that it wasn't cheesy in any way. And usually you get defeating a villain by beating the villain up or in the submission or killing them. This one they didn't do that, man. They got to the center of what makes the void the void. Why is Bob the void? Like why is that? And we find out, and it's just very good. It really, everybody struggles at some point in their life with some type of depression and some type of loneliness, some type of belonging. I think this movie really captured that. You have people who are very important in what they do, highly trained assassins, somebody who, served his country for a long time and was very important and very looked up to, even finds, struggle with self, confidence and love. It's really just like I think one of the best MCU movies, easily post Endgame. But like when we kind of look back at this movie as an MCU movie as a whole, I think that Thunderbolts will age like fine wine. I think that they did a good job with not only the effects but with the characters. Even you said it. You said it more than me because like I read more comics a little bit than you do. That's not like a bash or anything, but like even when Thunderbolts was announced, we were both like, why? Like besides Yelena and Red Guardian, maybe like these are characters that really don't we don't care about, we haven't seen enough of. And it felt like we got a lot more of these characters than we ever signed up for. Bucky, even in his little bit, he kind of, has a little like quote that's basically like, if you let it, your past, which we know these characters have bad past and controversial past, but if you let your past, like, if you just let it be, it's going to catch up to you. You have to hit it like head on. You have to go after it. Even Ghost is interesting, and she doesn't get a full fleshed out like story like Yelena or even U.S. Agent does, but she still gets a little bit, and she's likable in this movie. But I also gotta say that Lewis Pullman as Bob and Sentry in this one, like, there is a scene, like, guys, I couldn't even tell you, like, besides the first 15 minutes of Wakanda Forever, where I teared up because I knew the real world, like, stuff that it was surrounding it. But when Lewis Pullman is sitting there with Florence Pugh in the room, and, you hear his father kind of beating on him downstairs, and he said, like, don't worry, it'll go away in a little while. And they're sitting there together, and they're, visibly sobbing, is beautiful, dude. And the MCU hasn't done that really since Endgame almost. And Wakanda Forever, yeah, absolutely. Like, we don't get that. And this movie dove headfirst into it. And I know that Feige gave a little bit more creative freedom to the director's slipping my name. Can you?
Jack Schreier.
Okay, they gave a little bit more freedom to him and let him do his own thing, and he knocked it out of the park. He did outstanding. This movie is going, like I said, this is a real world movie, and you can definitely understand what they're saying. Like, yes, it's a Marvel movie, but at the same time, people struggle with the problems in this movie, and I think it's great. I thought Sentry was a very interesting character. The Void looked so good. I love the way they did it too. I love the way they did it. Also, the effects of him just like pushing people into the void. Chef's kiss, A+. It's so cool. He talks about his like mother or influence of it and like how he came up with it. Perfect. If you don't know, he kind of based it off the shadows of uh, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which he said some people didn't like it. I thought it was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbolts is outstanding. I gave it 5 stars on LetterBoxd. I was very impressed with it. I have it at number 3, so it is going to be lower than Sinners and Warfare, just to the impact those movies had on me. But the last time that I gave a Marvel movie this high was probably Endgame or Infinity War. So or Guardians 3. So these are like, up there. I give Thunderbolts 5 stars. The rating that I'm going to give it is a 9.3. I think that is very good for a Marvel movie, So for someone who is more critical than you of Marvel movies, because, like Marvel is probably your favorite franchise. So, like me being with Star Wars, he would be more critical than I am of Star Wars. But 9.3, 5 stars. I've given a lot of 5 stars recently. Well, I guess that'd be 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars. 5 stars. I don't know. Anyways, my math's not math and it's late.
It's up there.
It's up there. I was very impressed with this movie. I thought Florence Pugh and Lewis Pullman were very, very good. And dude, I hope we get more of these characters. I
was about to say, yeah, dude, I'm like genuinely excited to see them again, and that's not something I thought.
No.
Remember when they did the whole cheer thing? We're like, oh my god, who cares if the Thunderbolts are in this movie? And now it's like, yes, they must be in it.
Please give us more Thunderbolts, or in this case, more New Avengers. So, awesome. Marvel, good job. You're on a little bit of a hot streak right now. Don't F it up. You got, you have Ironheart supposed to come out next month, so you better figure that out because we have no marketing for that. So you better figure that out. And then we get Fantastic Four. So, you're on a little bit of a heater. I'm very, very nervous for Ironheart, not because, I don't like the character. We haven't seen anything. We don't even have a trailer. And we've gotten Fantastic Four trailers, which comes out a month after it. So, no, y'all gotta hurry up and get Ironheart out. Make us more excited, man. Daredevil was good too. So, I know you got it in you on the shows. The movies, I think personally, 2 for 2 this year. I know some people say what you want about Brave New World. I don't care.
And our
Um,
boy is in
yeah,
Ironheart.
yeah. So, oh yeah,
An-
Anthony
Anthony
Ramos. Yeah,
Ramos.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I'll do the outro. Thank you for listening to me back. Well, are you watching anything new?
No, dude, I really haven't. I was with Wilk when he saw Thunderbolts again yesterday. That's literally the only movie I've seen since I watched Thunderbolts the last time. It's
Yeah.
been a very, very long week running around, but definitely once I get back on my normal schedule, I'll be catching up with some things. There's definitely some shows and movies I want to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is it for episode 19. Thank you guys so much for watching. A little bit of a shorter episode, but we made it over an hour. I think that's a win. I will be back in my normal setup next week. Cole will not be, I don't think.
I'll still be like here.
Yeah, okay. So I he has a busy week next week. I will probably be reviewing Final Destination Bloodlines. So super stoked for that. It's also I'm turning 25 next week. Pretty cool. I'll probably when we're recording, that'll be my 25th birthday. So if we do it on Sunday. So thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are awesome. Y'all been killing it on the shorts. We're gonna probably get a lot of shorts up this week, a lot of TikToks up this week. Look for the cuts, like the shorter parts. Like, subscribe, comment what you guys want to see. If there's any shows or movies, maybe on streaming that we haven't checked out yet, we'd love to check those out. And other than that, man, thank y'all so much for watching, and we will see you guys for episode 20. We're making it to one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Episode 20 next week, and then Mission Stitch the week next. I can't wait.
Absolutely. So it is about to get hectic and busy. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next week. Peace.
Welcome to the rebellion.
That's right.